Hello, 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 everybody. I think it's going to be a short video, but you know me. Welcome back to Craft Portal, and let's have a quick discussion. I'm going to discuss with you what I think, in my opinion. I've junk journaled for a while, and what I think you will need if you want to start junk journaling. Okay. Now, obviously, there's variations on all the themes, and I'll discuss that as we go along. Right, you're going to need some sort of a liquid glue. Okay. I use a plain wood glue. Nothing funny. Just if I need to, like with my last envelope roll, I mix this more or less with a half mixture with water and a half mixture with glue. And that gives me things that I can attach napkins with. And most of the time this will work. In very, very rare cases, you will need something like super glue to attach something like a button or things like that that might be where you might need something slightly stronger than wood glue. There's many things on the market, depending on what country you are in. Most of the American and English crafters use things like art glitter glue. They use fabric tack, that sort of thing to attach fabric or stronger things, and there's many variations. You will find that whatever glue you choose, it's not the same for you as for anybody else. Everybody has different preferences, and it's really a question of just playing around with glue until you find what you prefer. The next thing in the row here is a glue stick. Any make will do. There's people that believes the Uhu brand is a lot stronger, and the Prit brand and the Scotch brand are a lot stronger. These I would never suggest as a permanent adhesive. It's in my opinion at best a temporary adhesive. It attaches something until you sew over it without gunking up your sewing machine, or it attaches something where you're going to do something else later, attach something over it, etc. For instance, if you do napkin decoupage, it's easy to stick the napkin down with a glue stick and then Mod Podge or glue over that. Okay. You're going to need a big scissor. You're going to need a smaller scissor. This one is even too big. Small scissor to cut out really small, intricate little things. You're going to need some kind of a ink to brown your edges. This is not compulsory, but in the junk journal world, most of us go for something sort of dark and vintage, that sort of thing. But you can do it with pink, you can do it with purple, you can do it with red, and you don't have to do it at all either. If your preference is not to darken the edges, then you don't need any sort of ink. This is an archival ink. You're looking for an ink that's sort of permanent, that's not going to come off the page after you've done it. A lot of people propagate that you can do it with makeup as a bypass. However, the eyeshadow of the makeup will rub off afterwards. I wouldn't suggest makeup. I would suggest investing in a good, nice ink pad of the color of your choice. This specific one is Colorbox Chalk Archival Paint, and it's called Chestnut Roan. That's the color. Then you will need something to brown the edges with. I mostly use this round makeup sponge. I don't exactly know what you call it. You will all recognize it. This works as well. You know, the little, you buy these 10 to a pack, 20 to a pack for very, very cheap. They will work as well. My apologies. These does eventually rub off, and then they get sort of fluffies on them. They still work, but it means whatever you've browned the edges with will then have all kinds of little bitties on, and you sort of just need to shake that off. So this is not permanent. There's wear and tear on it, and you can just as well get yourself a good supply. Again, variation on the theme. Sorry, variation on the on this is you can buy Tim Holtz distress ink. That's what most of the crafters use that have access to those things. They are permanent, and there's a lot of other uses for the distress ink. But you do not have to invest in an expensive one. You can do it in a much cheaper one like I've done. Okay, so that's sort of the same thing there. Just going to take it off the screen because it's horribly dirty. Alright, these are optional, but this is a corner rounder. So it's very simply when you've made something, just to round the corner of that thing. Again, there's different variations on the theme. You can buy a crocodile machine, which gives you different edges. This one specifically allows you a smaller, like if you look at that, this is even smaller then. This is sort of that size, so it's a smaller corner than that, like if you look at that. And that one is a very wide corner, so it gives you two options, whether you put in the paper this side or whether you put in the paper on this side. It will give you a different corner. Again, many variations on the theme, but the basic one that you need is just the small, simple one to round your corners. There is a workaround for this. You can put anything round like that on a piece of paper and mark it off and cut it out. Okay, so this is not even a complete necessity. Alright, then again, not a complete necessity, but if you want to cut out little notches out of things to show that there's a pocket, in my opinion, it just makes it a lot more professional looking if you have that little notcher to make a notch. Here in my envelope folder, here's an example where there I've made a little notch cut out, and for instance there I've made a little notch cut out with this. Okay, you do not need a million sizes of this. There's a lot of different sizes. This is in centimeters. This is a just over 2.1 centimeters, and this ruler doesn't have inch marking, but 2.2 inches I think is or 2.2 centimeters is an inch, so it's just less than an inch circle punch that you would need. Alright, then you would need a craft knife, just a normal craft knife of some sort, something with that sort of tip that you can cut papers with. This one is a little bit fancy. You can put your finger through it and then it cuts exactly where you want it to cut. So if you had a ruler and you want to cut there, you would hold it and you would cut. This is just a little bit fancier variation of a normal craft knife. Okay, the next thing you would need is a ruler for the exact same purpose I've just said, to cut off pieces of paper. You do not need a paper trimmer. You do not need all of those fancy things. Most of those things you can do with a craft knife and a ruler. Then you would need a one-hole punch. It's very simply a punch that would make one hole inside a piece of paper. Let me see if I can find a piece of paper for you quickly. Okay, here's a old thingamajiggy, a piece of paper. Put it in and you punch a hole, and now it's not coming out and there's a hole. Okay, you can then, those are for the top of tags or simple things like that. You can even use it as decoration, and you can then buy little don't remember the name, you know what I mean, those little metallic things that you would then clip in there to make it metallic looking, but again not necessary. Right, so the one hole punch, and I've spoken about the ruler. Okay, now there are a whole bunch of craft tools out there, and everybody that has them would make you believe that you need all of them. You don't. Okay, the quite simple truth is you don't. So my suggestion would be to get the very basics, as you see it on the table here, and from there, if you feel that you cannot work around a specific thing, then you buy that item that you wanted. For instance, I used to do the corners myself, but then I felt it wasn't as convenient to just clip them, and I invested in a corner rounder. The same thing with this. I could not get my hand to cut with a scissor those little round notches. These have many other uses. You can make little dangles. There's a whole bunch of other things that you can do with them. But my suggestion is, if you are a starter junk journaler, to just start with the very, very basics. Other than this, you need paper, you need coffee to dye your paper. If you're going to do coffee or tea dyed paper, you would need tea. And I'm talking about normal copy paper. And other than that, you would use things like cereal boxes. You would use any type of box, any type of paper that comes into your house that you can then reuse for something else. For instance, this is a white project board pad, and this back paper is brilliant for using for a whole bunch of things. You would need to invest in paper, but until you start figuring out what paper you really like and what paper is worth and what you would really like to put in your journals, you don't need anything more than that. Then I want to speak about digital kits. Now, it's important to remember let's put it in a nice way. There's purists amongst us that says that a junk journal should be made of, you've got it right, junk. Okay. So unless it's made of junk, it's not called a junk journal. Natasha from Treasure Books calls it a treasure book. She has a lovely story on her channel of how she came to that name. I like that as well. But keep in mind, there are purists amongst us that feels that you cannot use anything that you would not have thrown away in any case in a junk journal. In my opinion, it's a name for a journal. You use junky type stuff, and if you want to use a digital kit or a digital printout or anything like that, go for it. There's absolutely nothing that stops you from using the most beautiful things you can get hold of to do that. If you're going to be buying any digital kits, here's my suggestion. Choose a theme that you really, really, really like, and buy one or two kits that goes together, that fits together, or that you feel are adaptable to each other, and work with that kit. For instance, if you decide botanicals, then buy two botanical kits, or buy a botanical and a woodland kit, or things like that. If you decide you really like Paris theme, then buy two Paris themed journal kits that you feel that would go well together. Between those two things, it should give you plenty of choices to make a whole bunch of things. And don't go in and buy male and vintage and Paris and woodland and botanical and steampunk and every which one that is available, because that is going to cost you a fortune, and you're definitely going to want more than one of each different type of kit, of digital kit. So my suggestion would be buy one or two that is usable, and then start on that theme. And then as you grow and you start figuring out what subject matter or what themes are really beautiful to you, then buy another kit that fits in with your originals, but that is now a different theme. Make sure that the kits that you buy is good kits, so that it has basic pages, writing pages, collage pages, tags, envelopes. Make sure that it's a complete kit that has everything in that you would like in a kit. So rather pay a little bit more for a complete kit than having one that has just got 4 pages or 8 pages in it, and then you have to go on and buy more and more and more because it's not a complete kit and you can't make everything that you need. If there are any questions with regards to this, then please feel free to leave a comment. I'm going to go on and assemble a book I'm gonna sort of sort out the papers and cut them down to try and assemble a book, and I'm hopefully gonna record it right now after this video. Have a nice day, everybody. Love you lots. Bye bye.